Hey everybody, today we're taking a quick look at a DIY way to fly your QSC K12s. I've got a K12 here, and I've basically utilized the three suspension points that you would normally attach M10 eye bolts to with this setup right here. So what I've done is I found these bolts right here. This is one that have the same thread diameter as an M10 and actually fits perfectly into the suspension points built into the speaker. And then I built this T-bracket up here. This is the kind of thing you can get done at your local shop if you're worried about your capabilities welding aluminum, or if you don't have a setup to weld aluminum or steel. You could do the setup with steel. All this is a 13.5 inch long piece of 1.5 inch by 1 steel bar, and then there's a 2 inch by 1 piece that's 17 inches long off the back. And I'll post the exact specs. I'm not sure if those are 100% correct in the description, but basically that's all this is, just welded together into a T-joint. But like I said, you can do it with steel if you can weld steel. Aluminum's just a lot lighter. And I like the look of aluminum. But yeah, if you can't do it yourself, it's totally reasonable to get it done at a shop. I had these two pieces up here done at a metal shop because I was not confident in my abilities to weld something structural. But these, again, are just a simple T-joint with a piece of aluminum pipe here attached to, again, some aluminum bar on top, just welded there. And this serves to hold my triangle trussing. These normally go on those Global Truss ST132 stands over there, crank stands, but for now I just have them on some speaker stands because I'm not putting a whole lot of weight on it, and I don't need the height. So anyways, you can get these done at shops if you're worried about, structural again. But basically all this is measured with the holes in it for these bolts here that go straight down into the holes in the top of the speaker for suspension. So yeah, normally these would have eye bolts in them and then you'd go from there, but I just bolted straight into the top of the speaker. You can see right here, that's what the bolt holes look like. There's one, there's two, and this is the T-piece right here. Just what it looks like before it's been drilled and cut. I'm waiting on another one of these O-clamps to finish the other one. But yeah, so what you can see I did here is bolted it on the front right here. Just these long bolts. It actually came with some trussing that I bought a while ago. So I had a bunch of these bolts lying around and they happened to fit. And then over here on the back, there's a lot of ways to do this. What I ended up doing was just making a little part here. It's just some mild steel flat bar that I drilled some holes in and painted. So it looks kind of nice. There's the same one right there. With some chain attached to it. What the chain does is it supports the back of the speaker. Excuse me. The way the speaker is balanced, if you just bolt it on the front, it'll want to lean out so that the woofer is kind of pointing up. So it won't want to lean down. So you have to support it on the back with this chain here. And then the other thing I did to achieve the angle was use two different clamps. So if you're wondering why there's two different clamps on here, that is why. This clamp puts this bar, about 1.5 inches from where it's being mounted on the trussing, and this one puts it, probably 4 or 5 inches. And I'll show you what that looks like up on that in a second. But that way you can get your angle. And something I also did on this, just to be safe, is I put a safety chain. You don't have to do this, but I highly recommend, if you're not an engineer, as I am not, to put a safety cable on there, attach it to the speaker, not to this, and then attach it to your truss, just so that you don't have to worry about anything falling if anything happens. So yeah, like I say, I'm not an engineer, and therefore you must try this at your own risk, and don't try any of this at home unless you're qualified or anything. This is just a project that I did. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna hang it up really quick and show you guys how it looks when it hangs. And you can also adjust this angle as well when it hangs. I'll show you kind of how that works more detail in a second by adjusting this bolt here. You can put spacer nuts in between the bottom of the clamp and the top of the T-piece if you want it to hang down farther, you know, and then loosen this a little bit. There is a little wiggle room in this, which I did on purpose because not all of these angles are exact, and there's actually a little wiggle room in these too, just so that it'll kind of sit and hang the way it needs to. So yeah, I'm going to hang this up really quick and then show you what it looks like. Alright, so here we have it hung up. Kind of come over to a side view here. Now you can kind of see how the two clamps produce an angle, which is adjustable, you know, depending on what kind of clamp you use. There's some gunk on the speaker here. And it may look kind of steep. I'm going to step back here so you can kind of see. It may look kind of like a steep angle. I figured it's around 12 degrees down. But when you raise this up, you know, 10, 12 feet off the ground, that angle is actually really crucial. And kind of the steeper the angle, the better, depending on how small your room is. If your audience is right in front of you. But again, really depends on preference and you know, what kind of venue you're doing. So yeah, as you can see, I have the safety cable on here. This is to, you know, again, give you some extra peace of mind. Depending on what kind of trussing you use, just make sure it's around, you know, the most structural piece of the trussing. I'd put it up here if I could, on this top bar, so it doesn't pull forward if it were to fall. But you know, again, that's I don't know if the cable will reach. You know, so not around these little rods. Obviously, people are smart. People figure it out. But anyways, I already have this piece of this trussing pre-wired, so that when I use these in an event, I can just pull these leads out here and chuck them down on the back. And you come to the back, you can kind of see how that piece, this extension here is really important, having this come out past the back of the speaker, because it then allows you to take some of the weight off the back, balance the speaker a little bit better. As you can see, this chain is taut. So that's another thing. Chain, you can use chain or cable. I chose to use chain because I had it already. But if you get cable and a little, you know, one of those things with the two hooks on either end and the thread tightener thing in the middle, I can't remember what they're called right now. For some reason it's escaping me. But yeah, you can use one of those. It might look a little bit better, you know, and fasten a little bit better to your piece here. I just drilled a hole inside there and stuck the chain through. Yeah, there's plenty of options, plenty of ways to do this. And then of course, you know, you can just plug in your stuff from here. Relatively straightforward. And yeah, the reason this is the output actually is because this lead up here is for DMX. This is a DMX and a light lead. I'm thinking that I don't know where the speaker leads on this one are. Anyways, so yeah, this is kind of what you have. You know, if you raise it up on stands like these, you can get them a lot higher. But kind of the general idea. I had the aluminum. I had these S hooks. I had the safety cable. I had the chain. I had the bolts. So this only cost me $10 for the clamp that I bought there. If you were to buy the aluminum for this project, you'd probably end up spending $30 on aluminum. If you used mild steel, I'm sure it would be a lot less. But you know, this is kind of a general look at what you have. I highly encourage anybody to attempt projects like this. They're really cool, but again, always be safe and make sure that what you're doing is something that you have confidence in, and having insurance is a very good thing too. So yeah, like and comment below. Thanks so much.